Wah, bumping the bomb, bumping the bomb, but man, that shit still goes hard years and years and years later. Anyways, Jack, what are you doing? What are you doing? It is a dark time for the gamers. Ubisoft, a company known for releasing not great games, released another one, but it was Star Wars, and the protagonist was a woman. While many gamers were obviously saying weird sexist shit because, you know, they're gamers, a new unexpected voice appeared among them by the name of Jack Sather. He says some really weird shit about how Ubisoft were contractually obligated to make the protagonist a woman and how no man would want to play as a woman in Star Wars. It's like, it's really not that great, honestly. I was like pretty uncomfortable for a lot of this, but oh God. I'm gonna cut to the chase. Today we're talking about a really weirdly sexist video review of the video game Star Wars Outlaws from a YouTuber that I really like, and that's why it really sucks to be doing this. This is the obligatory, please go watch his video, or at least the first 15 minutes, because that's where a large amount of the material I'm going to be talking about is present. Go watch it, keep me honest, fact check me, but I gotta say, if you're anything like me, you're gonna watch that and go, what? Now, as you might have guessed, I'm going to be talking about the wide range of things that Jack says about women and men and proving that they are really not based in reality. But before I do that, I want to just quickly say that I'm making this video for two reasons. The first reason is that I see this as an opportunity to potentially do some kind of good deed in ideally correcting Jack in a lot of the things that he seems to perceive about women. I did a bad deed yesterday, I stole cheese from the grocery store, and we kind of alternate good and bad based on the day. I know, I'm a very charitable, handsome, smart, funny, talented, beautiful individual. You don't need to tell me, but please do that in the comment section. As a fellow male, despite my non-binariness, I have an opportunity to come at this from a place of relative kindness and hopefully derail Jack and anybody else who seems to be teetering on the edge of falling into the gamer pit, as I call it, by pointing out the absurdity of basically everything that Jack is saying in the first half of this video. It's important for us men to really check each other. And the second reason is that basically all of these takes are low effort, harmful, downright ignorant, and need to be addressed for the good of literally everyone. Okay, I thought the easiest way to go about dealing with everything is to kind of condense basically all of Jack's points into one nice little thesis statement and go about proving that section by section. This is that thesis statement. Jack says that Star Wars Outlaws sold poorly because Ubisoft developers, parentheses, who are mostly men, were forced to make gamers, parentheses, real gamers, parentheses, men, play as a woman, comma, who is a bland, SJW looking protagonist. Not too shabby if I say so myself. Pretty condensed, one sentence, handful of things to prove. Easy peasy. So right off the rip, Jack opens with how the game sold bad, which it did. However, he seems to think that the look of the protagonist appears to be a major reason for why this is the case. Play the clip, editing me.
That stock price is just indicative of how the player base feels, which is mistreated, disrespected, and must feel like they aren't even considered when they start making their games anymore. Which leads me to why I think Star Wars Outlaws is not selling well. So when I heard the pitch for Star Wars Outlaws being the first open world Star Wars game, that sounds like it would generate a lot of hype. Why is no one talking about it?
What?
Well, I could take a guess, and I don't want to sound like a dick here, but I don't want to play that girl. I'm not saying generally I don't want to play girls in video games. I'm saying I don't want to play that girl. The one that looks like she'd get mad at me if I open the door for her because it's somehow sexist.
I don't need help.
Yikes. First little note, he does that thing where he says, I wonder why this thing sold bad, and then he pauses on the image of the woman as if we're supposed to understand the implication that how she looks is bad. That's fun. That's a fun little dog whistle there. And then immediately, with seemingly no evidence to back this up, says that she looks like the kind of person who would call you out for sexism. Cool. This is literally the exact same energy as those weird people online who are saying that video game women are being made less hot, being turned into Karens, etc., etc. Very weird. This is not only very cringe, but kind of incel-y and a little bit of a self-report on how somebody views women as having acceptable and unacceptable ways of them looking. That ain't great. And then he just keeps going, specifically focusing on this girl's hair for some reason as seeming to be some kind of woke woman signifier to like a rather ridiculous degree. And in this video, he cuts to clips of him and his friend talking about the game periodically. And his friend just keeps checking him on almost everything he says because it sounds super weird. Play the clip, editing me.
She's literally got the haircut of Jason Momoa in the Minecraft movie. And the reverse can be said for dudes who have like the broccoli assassin on God for real haircut. Like, I don't want to embody that guy in a video game. Do you think haircuts can say something about somebody's personality?
Yes, but do I think that is indicative of whether or not a character is a
First
good
of all,
protagonist or
change
not?
it, you know what I mean?
No. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I just really don't.
Care. All right, hang on.
You do give a shit. And it was fun. And you had fun and you felt joy and whimsy in your life. And you weren't like, dude, this girl's got a weird
there was no whimsy.
This girl's got a weird fucking haircut.
It's just really uncomfortable to watch. He shows these two comparison images and then shows Kay's hair. And like, I understand that he's trying to show these two more radical individuals, but how on earth is Kay's hair anywhere near the same vibe as these two, or in fact, any of the crazy stereotypical, presumably SJW women that he is talking about? In fact, I would argue that the look of her hair, which feels very 80s reminiscent, feels like a really cool throwback to some of the OG Star Wars type looks and hairstyles of that era. I think it looks very nice, and in no universe would I ever assume that this woman would be mad at me for holding a door open. But strange gripes about her hair aside, the most important thing he sets up here, which he keeps repeating, is that the point of this character and that these previously mentioned traits, women presumed SJW and calls her bland. I haven't played the game. I cannot speak to this. I have seen mixed opinions on this, but he seems very biased. So to be completely honest, I'm not really sure I'm inclined to take his side on this one. All of those things that he says are the reason for the game's general marketing failure, or one of the major reasons. And if they had just picked a cooler, more man-y character, or even done the Ubisoft thing where there's a male and female option, the game would have done better. Play the clip, editing me.
No, I'm saying the hair was affected their marketing. I'm saying, do you think it would have sold better if your character looked more like Mando in game than Kay?
Do I think it would have sold better?
Yes!
Yeah, of course. Let's make the distinction here. I think it would have sold better. I don't think it would have been better.
And I think Bisley here makes a great point. I don't think the game would have necessarily been better besides like a couple of melee animations making a little more sense. I just think it's kind of a wild decision to make when you have like, you know, the game takes place between episode 5 and 6. Like you have some awesome characters, outlaws, bounty hunters, but instead we got the made up smuggler K. Look at Concord. What an oversight. Nobody wanted to play as these characters.
I hate this a lot. Because unless you have the ability to peer into timelines, you have absolutely no idea if this is true or not. Also, I hate when people are like, Star Wars keeps doing the same thing over and over, and yet they just want to dredge up old characters for some reason instead of complaining about them trying to make something new. What do you want? What do people want? And even more importantly, this is literally just a whole extension of the go woke, go broke narrative. Anytime a game has a woman protagonist, predominant people of color, gay shit, any of the whole DEI stuff that people complain about and doesn't do well, people immediately jump on the fucking bandwagon of blaming that shit as the problem instead of the myriad of other issues that could have led to this game not doing well. Not only is this an incredibly lazy and reductive way of thinking, it's also just kind of a self-report on how you view the presence of minorities and women as something that is an add-on or something that is really only used to garner attention and not their own thing as representations of just real-ass people. People who think like this are impossible to argue with. If there's DEI and the game does poorly, the DEI is the problem. If the game has DEI and the game does well, the reviewers are bought. It's pure confirmation bias. You literally cannot win. And speaking of confirmation bias, I think it's time we move on to claim number 2 from old Jack and examine his evidence in regards to the unjustness of making gamers, real gamers, who are men, play, sorry to say this, play as a woman. Moving on nicely, as we continue on the back of that continuing clip, we see Jack move into claims that are now not made purely on incel adjacent vibes, but confirmation bias by rejecting large-scale, reasonably credible data in favor of his own. Play the clip, editing me.
I think it would have appealed to a wider audience just off the rip. Like, more people would have been into it through the marketing and stuff. Why? I don't know, because gamers are mostly dudes, and dudes want to play as dudes.
Bingo! Ding,
right?
ding, 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 ding. It's a landmine of a conversation, but I will totally say that Star Wars is not just a dude's interest. It has spread.
No, I don't think so.
I think it is like, you could even argue that it might even be 50-50. But gamers, this is what I hate. If you Google what percentage of gamers are female, would you believe it if it says it's 49% of gamers are female? Because I think it's an interesting thing. What is your audience percentage male?
80 to 90.
Yeah, mine's like 90, mine's like 98%. Like,
God damn. I just don't
this
like
is like
you, huh?
all my gamer YouTube friends. It's like high 90s. I think. Let me do a double check on that. Yeah, female 3%, male 95%. What is yours?
6.7. It's 6.7 or 6.8.
And then male what?
91.8.
Okay. 49% of gamers are female. I get it. There's probably some study that's like, well, actually mobile gamers who play Candy Crush are 49%. Like, sure, but no girl is playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, dog.
There's a lot to unpack here. Also, look at my Star Trek mug. Oh. Very cool. Thank you, me. Now, the most important part of this clip is what Jack is doing, which is coping. See, he's trying to go down this route to justify his belief that this game should not have had a woman protagonist, or at least offered a male and female choice like some Ubisoft games have done in the past, by appealing to data, believing that that data should largely favor men in terms of which gender has more gamers on it. However, as we see from the statistic that he has pulled up, as well as another that I have found, this is not the case. 45 to 49% seems impossible to Jack for some reason that has yet to reveal itself. Then, for some reason, he shows the leadership team of the ESA, the site that he got the data from, which happens to be 6 out of 7, majority women. Like this is supposed to be some sort of proof that the women in this org are like inflating the statistics somehow. I'm honestly not entirely sure what he was going for here. So Jack, again, if you're watching this, like, explain, please. Then, in one of the most wild moves in this entire video, which I legitimately can't believe his friend didn't stop to check him on, Jack pulls up his YouTube viewer analytics and sees that his 3% women viewer versus 96% male viewer appears to be a more credible distribution of perceived gamer divide than this organization whose job it is to present data. This is the most confirmation bias ass move I have seen in a long time. To reject professionally aggregated data in favor of personal YouTube analytics. What planet am I on? But remember that foreshadowing earlier about the reason behind why that 45% of gamer women seem too high? Editing me, play the clip.
49% of gamers are female. I get it. There's probably some study that's like, well, actually mobile gamers who play Candy Crush are 49%. Like, sure, but no girl is playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, dog.
First off, the Kingdom Come Deliverance comment, like, that's something a 5-year-old would say on a playground. What? You're a girl. You don't play with trucks. That's so weird. Oh, and obviously, there's women in the comments showing up saying they've played it. Go figure. I just don't understand why he's trying to argue this so badly. I don't get why he's trying to do a gamer elitism. As far as I'm aware, Jack's a graphic designer, which I am too. That's why I thought we had some sort of kinship. I don't think he's a statistician. I don't know if he can really point to an error in their methodology using 5,000 people as a sample size. But let's try this. Is Statistica more reputable for having the same 49% stat, but with 8,000 respondents instead of 5,000 respondents? Does that sound better? Trick question, dear viewer, because this is pure semantics. Debate pro tip. If anybody is trying to pull up stats that do not align with the point they are trying to make, like Jack did, and cared about being correct, instead of wanting to justify their worldview, they would change their tune and accept they were wrong based on the evidence given. No harm, no foul. However, if a person starts making excuses about the stats and how they can't be right, and they try to dig for data that supports their own view, like Jack did, they don't actually give a shit about what is right, and they just want their worldview to be reinforced. YouTube analytics, professionally aggregated data. Why? Even if somehow girl gamers were 10% of the population, who fucking cares? They're still there. Just like the gays, the bis, the NBs, the trans people, the people of color, everybody. They deserve to be there, and they deserve to have representation. Who gives a shit if the game might have sold better? It legitimately doesn't seem like he even cares about fact-checking this. He literally just wants to use data to solidify his argument that this girl he doesn't like the look of, and seemingly women in general should be in less games because he thinks that men, aka real gamers, should be the ones who are primarily catered to and represented. I have watched this video so many times, and I want to interpret this a different way, but I just do not see how. If Jack is watching this, I would love some clarification, but honestly, I just think he should take the video down because this is just really bad. But you know what, folks? It doesn't end there, because it's time to get to the last part of our fun little thesis, which is that Ubisoft, parentheses men, were probably forced to do all of this. Play the clip. Editing me.
It's also so funny to see developer interviews and the credits of this game. It's like everybody in charge was a dude, and they all talk about their fantasy of being in Star Wars. It's like, is your fantasy of being in Star Wars being a female? Or is this just like part of a Disney contract that needed you to make the character a female character?
Damn, Jack. Why would you write, record, edit, and decide to leave this in? Why don't we play that little bit one more time just to make sure we all hear it correctly.
Is this like, is your fantasy of being in Star Wars being a female? Or is this just like part of a Disney contract that needed you to make the character a female character?
I literally cannot imagine saying something like this and thinking, yes, I should show this to the world. These are a good combination of words. See, this gives us a nice little peek into how Jack immerses himself into games as a man with a penis. And also, on the back of that, how he seems to assume that all other men, more or less, kind of do the same thing. And if you think I'm reading into this, I'm not. Play the clip, editing me.
Ubisoft has been giving us the choice lately to play as a male or female protagonist in their open world games, which, by the way, the female protagonist is usually the more interesting one. I'm not gonna play her because I have the option to be a dude. I'm gonna be a dude because I like to self-impose myself into the games I play, to immerse myself more, because I have a penis.
I didn't cut that bit off at the end, by the way. That was him cutting off penis. Haha. Circumcision joke. First off, the assumption that dudes don't want to play as women or need to play as a dude to be immersed is pure fantasy. This point is immediately checked by the fact that the unsavory gooner population exists and pops up every time they see a woman character who looks like a sex doll. Stellar Blade is evidence of this. First Descendant is evidence of this. There are entire modding communities dedicated to this. I mean, look at these disgusting Skyrim characters. Jesus Christ. But as funny as it is to invoke them, they are not important. They are not real people. Real people, outside of that disgusting outlier, literally don't care. The vast majority of people have absolutely no problem being immersed when they are not playing somebody who does not have the genitals that they do. Like your own friend who is yelling at you because you're being a weird little guy.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I just really don't.
Care. All right, hang on.
You do give a shit. And it was fun. And you had fun and you felt joy and whimsy in your life.
For anybody who has this issue, that is a severe case of you problemitis. What's also super annoying is the fact that Jack's demographic is literally the most represented of all time. The absolute audacity to complain about not being able to be immersed when playing a character that does not look like you is such unbelievable snowflake behavior when the vast majority of them actually do. Plus, there are countless women, people of color, queer people, non-binary people, etc., like me and countless others who have been having to immerse ourselves with characters who do not look like us or represent us for our entire fucking lives. And whenever I see a straight, white, cis dude complaining about not being able to identify with a character that doesn't look like them, complaining that it ruins their immersion, they come off as the biggest snowflake babies in the world. Almost every other Star Wars game has had a male lead or character creation of some kind. The only other woman protagonist was fucking what? Star Wars Battlefront 2? Wow. Secondly, assuming that there are contractual chains binding the male developers into being forced to make a girl character is another massive self-report. Are we at like 3 self-reports now? Like, I've lost track. I'm struggling to understand what he might have been going for here, because it sounds like there was the implication that he thinks that male devs couldn't possibly want to make a female character without being forced to. Play the clip again, editing me.
Is your fantasy of being in Star Wars being a female? Or is this just like part of a Disney contract that needed you to make the character a female character?
Jack, just take the video down. This is so bad. This is so bad, dude. I also hate this because it completely ignores the fact that there are a lot of men who work not only in game dev, but other industries as well, who are not only normal, non-incel-y dudes, but allies who see a lack of representation in the various industries that they work in and want to do what they can do with their positions of power to help even the playing field. Maybe, I don't know, the team wanted to have a girl character because they wanted to. It really feels like Jack has been reading a lot of those weird, bigoted, incel-y gamer conspiracy subreddits because the diversity is being enforced by a company or entity line is like right out of one of their playbooks. And for the people who were saying he's just trying to argue why they can't also have a male protagonist, why didn't he just ask that question and then move on? Why is he spending so much time trying to justify the fact that women are such a small part of the community and deserve less representation, that women gamers don't play real games, I guess, that the character looks ugly and that's why the game sold bad? Like, why? And for people who complain about story in Ubisoft games, having two characters would make it worse. We saw this in Valhalla and Odyssey. Having two characters with Ubisoft's big ass open world, go wherever you want story order shit, like, that doesn't work. It's boring, it's disjointed, it feels bad. So again, I don't know what's the argument here, but I have good news. Everybody, unclench your buttholes, take a nice big breath and exhale, because it's fine. It's fine. All of this stuff that Jack said before doesn't actually matter because Jack is actually cool with women.
I want to reiterate, I'm not trying to say
go home, gamer girl,
and Kay was a bad character because she's just a female. There's plenty of amazing, great female characters in games like Ellie from The Last of Us, Alloy and freaking Horizon Zero Dawn, Control character, I forgot her name. I'm just pointing it out because I think that's why marketing-wise your game isn't selling well, and I'm confused by the decision to not make an optional male protagonist. That's all. Don't cancel me.
Whew. Oh my God. Wowzers. I was getting real worried there for a second. If Jack hadn't said that he actually liked women and then proceeded to name some of the women video characters that he knows, even though that Alloy is an absolute hollow shell of a character, thank God. I would assume he's just being weird and pretty sexist and bordering on like strange Redditor Gamersphere incel territory, but he named two women and then kind of awkwardly pointed out a third. We're all good. Crisis averted, good lads. Thank God he isn't actually weird and sexist, because it would be a shame if he was like a lot of people in his comment section. See, the least enjoyable part of Jack releasing this video is not the video part. It's not even really feeling like I can trust Jack's opinion on this game as a whole, because it feels like he is so absurdly, comically, sexistly biased against it before it even came out. No. My least favorite part about this is actually going into the comments section and seeing the weird incels who agree with the stuff that Jack is saying harass his subscribers who are pointing out that they don't agree with his weird-ass takes on women. Shout out to the high IQ intellectual who commented, "Left turd triggered found" on this guy's post. It seems like this guy has an IQ with a number that is less than the amount of letters in the sentence that he typed. Truly an inspiration. There is, of course, a very large amount of women viewers in the comments who are understandably disgruntled and are expressing their dislike of the things that Jack said. And wow, they're getting harassed for identifying themselves as a woman and saying that they don't like the sexist things that Jack said from the weird incel commenters down there? Wow, who on earth could have seen this coming? During that extremely cringy section where he pulls up his YouTube analytics and says that he only has 3% female viewership, there's a little note that he put at the bottom that says he'd love to have more female subscribers, but I don't think Jack really understands why there probably aren't a lot of women in gaming spaces like this, and I really hope he reads this comment that I found, which sums it up perfectly. Genuinely. I think the reason why audiences for these kind of channels don't attract girl gamers is because they're not places we are welcomed. And I don't mean this in a rude way, it's just the way it is. There are way more of us who game than you would think. Sometimes keeping a low profile is intentional to avoid people being horrifically rude and ruining the vibe. It feels like Jack and people who say these same things have never in their life interacted with somebody who is not a straight white dude, because the sheer level of insensitivity in both what he said and what the potential results of him saying those things could be were not presented to him as a bad idea by anyone, and he didn't consider it either. I have no idea if Jack was intentionally trying to cater to these people, but courting these asswads is making his channel comments a more hostile place for everybody who don't like this kind of rhetoric, especially the people who the rhetoric is targeting, which is women. In fact, it's kind of just making life worse for literally anybody who doesn't look like him. I mean, shit, I'm a reasonably white male looking dude, despite being openly queer and reasonably alternative. And I get mean comments on my appearance for being obviously queer whenever I post shit online about gaming or basically anything, because these people in the nerd sphere in general, not even just gaming, really want to do everything that they can to make these kind of spaces as sterile and echo chambery as possible. They literally just want to be right. They literally just want to be sexist. They literally just want their own little space where they can cry woke. They are absolute lemmings, dude. They have no opinions. It's just the same shit that bullshit grifters keep feeding them. Some agenda is being pushed. There's too many girl bosses. There can't be that many women gamers. Like, it's just miserable seeing these people show up here. I thought your channel was so much different. They belong in shitholes like fucking Griffin Gaming or Rev or Endymion or even fucking Luke Stevens and his weird shtick. Like, not here. I didn't think they'd show up here. And whether Jack realizes it or not, if you're watching, Jack, if you're watching, these are the kind of mean-spirited people that you're appealing to when you say stuff like this. This is the kind of awful, mean, echo chambery audience who will turn on you in a heartbeat if you don't say the thing that the big echo chamber agrees upon. There are so many people in these comments trying to leave legitimate, nice, thoughtful critiques on a lot of the stuff that Jack is saying. And you would absolutely not see that in any other of these channels. And I think it is so important to think about what he does now. Side note, Ren's Reviews posted a comment here and showed up, and I like Ren's Reviews. I think he's pretty funny and goofy for the most part, but he didn't really like say anything about like the weird sexist stuff that Jack said. And I swear to God, if like Ren also has these really weird, unsavory opinions, man, I'm gonna be bummed out because I can't lose two so fast, dog. Like, the final thing that I'll say about this, these weird conspiratorial takes and the awkward sexism and the just really, really awkward clips of you arguing with your friend and him trying to check you, like, you just complaining about the game in the same boring milquetoast way that all these other gaming hater channels do, made the video like really boring to watch. I didn't really feel like I was getting someone's unique opinion and experience on the game. I watched your friend's video and I like that. I mean, again, I don't know if I agree with everything he said because I haven't played the game myself, but it felt like this was a dude who was trying to authentically engage with the game and formulate his own opinion instead of just echoing everybody else's. Like, I don't know. Again, I don't know if I agree with it, but I respect it. And it's pretty lame that if I go into his comments as well, like, there's plenty of people who are calling this game shit or that like he was paid or whatever. It's just like it's just awful to watch. After all of this, I'd say I've kind of proven my thesis pretty well, and that makes me really sad because I really genuinely hope that this is just some kind of a one-off. I just like video games. I think they're cool. I like art in general. I like talking about it. I think gender and stuff is 100% something that should be talking about, but this is so far from the way to do it that it genuinely hurts my soul. So please, for the love of God, just take this video down. Get rid of all of the weird incel-y people on your channel. Save the people who have been with you for this whole fucking time and actually want to see you succeed and not be a weirdo. And thank me by giving me Capri Sun. That's right, baby, Capri Sun. You thought I'd make it a whole ass video without talking about Capri Sun and trying to shill for a Capri Sun sponsorship? Absolutely not, baby. I'm on my fucking grind. Then Jack, please talk to me. You want to talk about men and masculinity and women? That'd be awesome. Let's fucking go. You want to have a book club? We can read fucking Bell Hooks together, baby. Bell Hooks book club. Let's fucking go. That'd be great. Get all your gamer friends in here, dude. I'm gonna make them so educated about the social construct and the perception of masculinity in the world, both as men see it, but also everybody else. That should be fire, dude. That should be absolutely fantastic. Please, Capri Sun, give me a sponsorship. Jack, delete the video. I'm so tired. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, please. It's really warm in here.